I mean, people just read and read and read about World War II for good reason.
During World War II, the Germans began to do experiments on prisoners of war. World War II wasn't just a battle between armies. It was a war full of shocking secrets, hidden treasures, and mind-blowing inventions that stayed hidden for over 80 years. Secret Nazi nuclear bunkers sunk in hoards of silver, and lost World War II relics in the jungle. Imagine a plane crash landing in the desert, a top-secret military strategy saving thousands, or discovering forgotten war machinery buried in time. These unbelievable finds are about to change how you see the war. Let's dive in and uncover the truth behind history's most mysterious discoveries. No. 3. Sergeant Dennis Kopping and his Kitty Hawk P-40 plane. In May 2, 2012, a Polish oil worker found a crashed plane in Al-Wadi, Al-Jadida remote desert area, 200 miles away from the nearest town. The plane was almost fully intact, with a parachute set up as a makeshift shelter outside. The worker quickly recorded the discovery and informed the Egyptian military, who removed the plane's weapons for safety. The plane was identified as a P-40 Kitty Hawk, flown by Flight Sergeant Dennis Kopping, a 24-year-old RAF pilot on June 28, 1942. He was flying the damaged plane between two British airfields in Egypt for repairs when he lost his way and crash-landed in the desert. The plane remained hidden in the sand for 70 years. Because of its excellent preservation, it was called the aviation equivalent of Tutankhamun's tomb. Human remains were found near the wreck, but the Ministry of Defense confirmed they did not belong to Sergeant Kopping, leaving the mystery unsolved. Note 29, the Allies' Ghost Army. During World War II, the U.S. Army created a unique unit called the Ghost Army. This group, made up of 1,000 artists, designers, and sound engineers, used their creative skills instead of weapons to confuse Nazi forces about the size and location of Allied troops. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 33rd Signal Company Special used inflatable tanks, fake radio signals, and sound effects to make it look like a large force was near enemy lines. Their efforts saved thousands of lives and influenced key military operations. They were vital in missions like D-Day and the Battle of the Bulge, often working just yards away from enemy forces. No, 28 March. A team recently discovered the wreckage of a famous U.S. military plane in Papua New Guinea decades after it had crashed. The Lockheed P-38 Lightning, flown by Wisconsin ace pilot Richard Bong, was found. Bong was known for shooting down 40 enemy planes, a record that remains unbeaten. The plane, named Marge after Bong's girlfriend, was being flown by Thomas Malone in 1944. When mechanical issues forced him to parachute out, the plane disappeared into the jungle. This year, Pacific Rex and the Richard I. Bong Veterans Historical Center joined forces to find the plane. After weeks of searching, they located it in a jungle ravine. Local guides helped them navigate the dense forest. Though they were initially misled by another wreck, they eventually confirmed it was Marge through its unique red paint and serial number. No. 27 Admiral Graf Spee. The German pocket battleship Graf Spee became infamous for attacking Allied merchant ships, led by Captain Hans Langsdorff. It operated in the South Atlantic and Indian Oceans, avoiding capture by the Allies. The ship sank 9 vessels totaling over 50,000 tons, while following prize rules to protect the crews. In December 1939, during the Battle of the River Plate near Uruguay, the Graf Spee faced 3 British cruisers. Although it damaged HMS Exeter, it was outmatched. Langsdorff took the ship to Montevideo for repairs, but was only allowed to stay for 72 hours under international law. Tricked by British misinformation about a larger fleet nearby, he decided to sink the ship to prevent its capture. In 2006, businessman Alfredo Iquia led efforts to locate the wreck. Artifacts like the gun turret and rangefinder are now displayed at the National Marine Museum in Montevideo, preserving its history. No. 26, the Enigma Machine. The Enigma Machine was crucial to the German military in World War II for keeping their messages secret. Each time a key was pressed, the machine created a unique code for each letter, generating trillions of combinations. This made it nearly impossible to decode messages without the correct settings. However, Allied mathematicians and cryptographers, led by Alan Turing in England, eventually cracked the code. By the war's end, British intelligence at Bletchley Park could decode 10% of all German messages using early electromagnetic computers. Originally, the Enigma machine had 3 rotors, But the Germans later added 2 more to make the code harder to break. Each update required the Allies to capture a new machine and its code books. Though it looked simple, the Enigma played a major role in the war. Note 25, the Dornier Du 17. During the Battle of Britain 79 years ago, a Royal Air Force fighter shot down a German Dornier Du 17 bomber off the Kent coast. The plane crashed into the dangerous Goodwin Sands, known for wrecking ships. The crew survived and were captured, but the plane sank and was forgotten. Years later, a fisherman's nets caught on something unusual. Local archaeologist Bob Peacock investigated and identified aircraft remains, reporting it to Wessex Archaeology. A geophysical survey confirmed the wreck was an intact Dornier Du 17. The RAF Museum launched a recovery mission, and in June 2013 the bomber was raised. Gaining global attention, the Dornier Du 17, nicknamed the Flying Pencil for its slim shape, now resides at the RAF Museum in Cosford, where visitors can see its ongoing preservation. The aircraft played a key role in the Battle of Britain. Note 24, helicopter. Igor Sikorsky, originally from Russia, created the first functional helicopter in the US. In 1939, called the Sikorsky VS-300. This helicopter was revolutionary because it introduced the now common design of a main rotor, with a tail rotor after several improvements. The final VS-300 model had a single rotor. For lift and control, it flew for over 102 hours, before being donated to the Edison Museum in Michigan in 1943. The VS-300 LED to the creation of the VS-316, the first helicopter to be mass-produced, marking the start of modern helicopter designs. Sikorsky's innovations also helped establish helicopters for military use, which became significant during World War II. At the same time in Russia, Nazi Germany developed the Panzer 78 Mouse tank. However, it was abandoned because it was too large and heavy, with only 2 prototypes ever built. Note 23, the Manhattan Project. On July 16, 1945, the first atomic bomb, called Gadget, was successfully tested in the Alamogordo Desert in New Mexico. This test, known as the Trinity Test, was a milestone in history and part of the Manhattan Project, a top-secret U.S. program during World War II to build nuclear weapons before Germany or Japan. Gadget was a plutonium-based bomb, similar to the one later dropped on Nagasaki. The explosion created a massive fireball and shockwave, releasing the energy of about 21,000 tons of TNT. People miles away felt intense heat and saw a flash that lit up the desert like daylight. The test proved both the power of nuclear weapons and the success of the scientists' designs. Soon after, the U.S. dropped 2 atomic bombs, Little Boy and Fat Man, on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which brought the war to an end. No. 22, carrier pigeon in 2012. A carrier pigeon's remains were found in a chimney in England with a coded message still attached. David Martin, a homeowner in Bletchingley, Surrey, discovered the bird while renovating his fireplace. Experts think the pigeon may have been carrying a message from Nazi-occupied France during the D-Day invasion and was heading for Bletchley Park, Britain's famous code-breaking center. Some believe the pigeon got lost, confused by bad weather or too tired to finish its trip, causing it to land in the chimney. During the war, more than 250,000 carrier pigeons served in the National Pigeon Service, delivering secret messages. 32 pigeons, including GIs, Joe and Patty, earned the Dickin Medal for bravery. The 70-year-old message, signed by Sergeant W. Stott, has not been fully decoded, and code breakers are still working to understand it. Note 21, Soviet military motorcycle. A long-forgotten wartime motorcycle was recently found in a forest near Vyborg, in Russia's Leningrad Oblast. This motorcycle, used for transportation and logistics, played an important role for Soviet troops during World War II. It was uncovered during a relic hunting mission focused on war artifacts. Experts think it was either hidden or abandoned after the war to keep it from being stolen or falling into enemy hands. No. 20, Heinkel, He 78. On August 27, 1939, the Heinkel, the first jet-powered plane in the world, took off for its first flight with German test pilot Erich Barsitz at the controls. This event demonstrated the potential of jet propulsion. The Heinkel Ho 178 was a private project by the German Heinkel Company, LED by Ernst Heinkel, who wanted to push the limits of high-speed flight. The design came from Hans von Ohain, an engineer who developed the idea of using gas turbine exhaust for propulsion. The aircraft was small, made of metal, and ran on diesel fuel. Its jet intake was at the nose, and it had a tailwheel undercarriage. Although it was designed with retractable landing gear, the wheels stayed down during the tests. The plane could reach speeds of up to 380 miles per hour. No 19 Panther tank. In 2015, German authorities discovered a surprising collection in an 84-year-old man's home in Heikendorf, northern Germany. Hidden in his basement was a World War II Panther tank, an anti-aircraft cannon, and a large amount of ammunition. The discovery happened during a search for Nazi-era art, after a tip-off about war relics on the property. A team of 20 soldiers spent 9 hours, removing the tank and other items. The man also had a collection of Nazi memorabilia, including a bust of Hitler, mannequins in Nazi uniforms, a swastika pendant, and a sculpture by Arno Breker, an artist favored by Hitler. The man reportedly used the tank as a snowplow in 1978. He was later convicted of illegal weapons possession and fined $250,000. He also received a suspended 14-month prison sentence. The court ordered him to sell or donate the tank and cannon to a museum or collector within 2 years. No 18 World War II bomb. In 2017, workers at a construction site in a London suburb discovered a large World War II bomb, buried deep underground. The bomb had been hidden for over 70 years. Even though it was old, it was still very dangerous and could have caused major damage. The British Army sent experts to handle the situation. These teams carefully defused the bomb and removed it safely without any incidents. No 17 Chariot. During World War II, British engineers created a special underwater vehicle called the Chariot, inspired by tactics used by the Italian Navy. The Italians had famously used their manned torpedoes, called maiali, to damage British battleships in Alexandria by attaching explosives. Hoping for similar success, the British began working on the Chariot in 1942. The first version, the Mark I, was a small battery-powered vehicle that could dive to 27 meters and carry a 270-kilo warhead. In 1944, the Mark II was introduced, featuring double the explosive load, faster speeds, and an enclosed cockpit for 2 operators. Both models were designed by the British company, Stothard and Pitt. Since Chariots had limited range, they were transported near their targets by submarines or other ships. The operators would then steer the vehicle to enemy ships, attach the explosives, and retreat to safety. Although early missions had problems, later operations had mixed results. Successful missions included sinking Italian ships and gathering intelligence for the Allied invasion of Sicily. No 16 Anne Frank's diary. During the German occupation of the Netherlands, Anne Frank received a diary on her 13th birthday, June 12, 1942. She had chosen the red, checkered notebook with her father the day before. In her first entry, Anne wrote that she hoped the diary would be a source of comfort. 2 days later, she began writing regularly, sharing details about her older sister being sent to a Nazi work camp, her family going into hiding for 2 years, and their eventual arrest. After the arrest, Anne's diary was found scattered on the floor by helpers Nipkies and Bep Voskuil. They later gave it to Otto Frank, who preserved his daughter's writings. Anne was only 15 years old when she died in early 1945 at Bergen-Belsen, just weeks before the camp was liberated. No 15 Sammy B. In June 2022, the wreck of the USS Samuel B., Roberts nicknamed Sammy B., was found in the Philippine Sea at a depth of 22 fathoms, that's 21 foot, making it the deepest shipwreck ever discovered. It broke the record held by the USS Johnston, found at 21,180 feet. Both ships sank during the Battle of Samar on October 25, 1944. The Samuel B. Roberts was named after Samuel Booker Roberts, Jr., who died heroically in the Battle of Guadalcanal. This destroyer escort was commissioned in April 1944, but sank just a few months later after bravely fighting Japanese forces to protect Allied troops during the Leyte Gulf invasion. No 14 V-2 rockets in London conflict. Archaeologists recently uncovered remains of a German V-2 rocket that exploded in a field in southeast England. During World War II, the rocket, aimed at London, failed to reach its target and exploded on impact in February 1945. Over 1,700 telescopes of debris, including parts of the combustion chamber, were recovered the site. Now farmland was once an orchard. Although no one was injured, a nearby resident reported hearing damage from the blast. Using metal detectors and digging tools, the team spent 4 days excavating the crater. The rocket had traveled at supersonic speed before hitting the ground and detonating. Number 13, father of radar. Robert Watson. Watt, known as the father of radar, is pictured next to the first radar device he developed in the 1930s. This invention was vital in defending Britain during the Battle of Britain in 1940. By using radio waves to detect enemy planes from a distance, radar gave British forces a major advantage, providing early warnings and time to prepare for air attacks. Note 12. Heaven Can Wait. In March 1944, a B-24 Liberator called Heaven Can Wait disappeared near Awa Point in Papua New Guinea during a bombing mission. The plane, part of the 90th Bombardment Group's 20th Squadron, was targeting Japanese airfields to weaken their operations. Sadly, all 11 crew members were lost. For years, the families of the crew never stopped searching for answers. One of them, Scott Althouse, a professor and relative of 2nd Lieutenant Thomas Kelly, the plane's bombardier, started investigating in 2013. He gathered detailed records about the plane, which eventually caught the attention of Project Recover, a group that finds missing military aircraft. In 2017, after searching near Hansa Bay using advanced sonar, Project Recover found the wreckage. This discovery was confirmed in 2018. By 2023, recovery teams retrieved remains and artifacts from the site, honoring the crew with a repatriation ceremony. A Soviet T-34 tank. A Soviet T-34 tank lost in World War II was recently pulled out of the Don River in Russia. Divers and local historians discovered it in April last year after months of preparation. The tank was lifted from the riverbed with an armored recovery vehicle. The effort was challenging due to its 30-ton weight and the river's depth of 23 feet. The tank, thought to have been made at the Stalingrad tractor plant, likely fell into the river while crossing a temporary bridge. Surprisingly, it was in good condition with ammunition, equipment, and personal belongings still inside. Experts made sure no human remains were present before retrieving it alongside the tank. Other wartime relics, like vehicles and pontoons, were found. Now at Patriot Park near Moscow, the tank is being restored. Officials aim to restore its exterior quickly and hope to make it fully functional. Fuhrer Bunker in 1945. Photographer William Vandervert visited Adolf Hitler's secret bunker in Berlin shortly after the war ended. This underground bunker, called the Führer Bunker, was Hitler's headquarters during the final days of World War II. In one of Vandervert's photos, journalists are seen examining a blood-stained sofa, believed to be connected to Hitler and Eva Braun's deaths. Outside the bunker, empty fuel cans were found. These cans were reportedly used by Nazi soldiers to burn Hitler and Braun's bodies after their deaths. The cremation was ordered to prevent the Allied forces from recovering their remains. The use of gasoline ensured that only minimal traces of the couple were left behind. No 9 reconnaissance pigeons. A German pharmacist, Julius Neubronner, initially used pigeons to deliver medicine to his patients. In 1907, he noticed one pigeon disappeared for over a month before returning. Curious about its journey, he attached a small camera with a timer to the bird. The photos it captured amazed him, so he got a bigger camera for better pictures. During World War I, the German military became interested in using his invention for aerial spying. While the idea worked during tests, Neubrunner abandoned it after the war when interest faded in the 1930s. A Swiss clockmaker named Christian Adrian Michel improved Neubrunner's design for the Swiss Army's carrier pigeons. The idea was revisited during World War II, and even the CIA later created a battery-powered camera for similar purposes, though details about it remain secret. Neue Bismarck. The Bismarck was a massive German battleship and the most powerful in the Kriegsmarine. It was launched in 1939 as part of Germany's plan to rebuild its navy after the restrictions of World War I. Named after German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, the ship was heavily armed with 62 guns and thick armor. Its first mission in 1941 was to attack Allied convoys, but it ended in disaster. After sinking the British battlecruiser Hood, the Bismarck was hunted and sunk by the Royal Navy in the North Atlantic on May 27, 1941. The wreck of the Bismarck remained lost for decades, until it was found in 1989 by a team from the Royal Navy. It was located at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, about 4,590 meters deep near the Denmark Strait. No Sebenazi stash. In 2021, history teacher Sebastian Ude was cleaning his aunt's house in Hahn, Germany after severe flooding, when he discovered a hidden stash of Nazi artifacts. While removing rotten plasterboard, he noticed a small hidden space behind the wall with an old newspaper from 1945. According to insider Sophia Enkel, on further inspection, Ude found a collection of World War II items, including a portrait of Adolf Hitler, a revolver, gas masks, Nazi badges, brass knuckles, and letters. The building had previously been used by the National Socialist People's Welfare Organization. During the Nazi era, Ude and his aunt had no idea about its history. When they bought the house in the 1960s, archivists have recovered 12 boxes of these materials, and the process of examining them is still ongoing. No seis para bikes. The BSA folding paratrooper bicycle was built for British soldiers during World War II, produced by the Birmingham Small Arms Company. Between 1942 and 1945, over 60,000 of these bikes were made. They allowed paratroopers to travel long distances quietly after landing, like during D-Day and the Battle of Arnhem in 1944. Soldiers carried the bikes while jumping from planes, with the wheels attached to their parachute lines. The bikes folded in half quickly, making them easy to transport. Special brackets on the frames let soldiers secure their rifles to the bikes. Most bikes were painted army green, but some were painted brown due to a paint shortage near the war's end. After the war, they were used in France and Norway, but were eventually abandoned. Today, they are rare and mostly found in museums or private collections. No 5 Bantam Jeep. The American Bantam Car Company built the first military Jeep prototype during U.S. Army testing on May 5, 1941. This lightweight 4x4 vehicle was designed to meet the Army's needs for mobility, carrying 3 soldiers with their gear, and being easy to maintain. After World War II, Bantam stopped producing Jeeps and switched to making trailers. They created ads like "Ivan got his first Jeep," "From Bantam" to "Poke fun at Willie's." Overland's efforts to trademark the Jeep name. In 1956, American Bantam was bought by American Rolling Mills and never returned to Jeep production. Number 4. Underwater B-17 Flying Fortress. In 1944, an American B-17 Flying Fortress bomber was shot down during its first mission in Europe. Piloted by Second Lieutenant Ernest Viano, the plane was badly damaged by anti-aircraft fire, with 3 engines knocked out and the hydraulics failing. Viano tried to reach an Allied base on the island of Visi. As they circled the airfield, the last engine gave out, and Viano had to land the plane in the sea. The bomber slid across the water and sank, taking the co-pilot's body with it. In 2001, Slovenian divers found the well-preserved wreck at a depth of 70 meters near Ravac, Croatia. Despite tough underwater conditions, the aircraft remains mostly intact. No 3-car cemetery. A collection of cars hidden during World War II was recently discovered in France. These vehicles are now rusted and falling apart. It's believed they were stashed away at the start of the war to prevent them from being taken for military use. The discovery was made by Vincent Michel, a physical education teacher from Belgium. According to the Telegraph, most of the cars were just empty and damaged shells, so the quarry owner auctioned a few, while the rest were left behind because they were too broken to move. No 2 WKW amphibious vehicle. The WKW is a 2.5-ton 6-wheel amphibious truck used by the U.S. Army and Marine Corps in World War II. It was built to move supplies, ammunition, and equipment from ships to beaches or storage areas. This truck was designed like a boat with a hollow, sealed body for floating, and used a propeller for water travel. It could transport 25 soldiers with their gear, an artillery piece, or up to 5,000 pounds of cargo. It moved at 5 knots on water and 50 mph on land. The Doke was first used during the 1943 invasion of Sicily, known as Operation Husky, and was vital in the 1944 Normandy invasion, where it delivered troops, weapons, and supplies despite rough seas and overloading issues that caused losses. The vehicle also played a key role in the Pacific, serving both the Army and Marine Corps. After the war, many were sold as surplus, and later used by tourism companies in cities like London, Dublin, and Boston. No, one tall boy. The biggest unexploded World War II bomb ever found in Poland accidentally detonated during a defusing attempt. Called a tall boy or earthquake bomb, it was discovered in a Baltic Sea shipping canal near Świnoujście. Although the risk of detonation was considered 50, no divers were harmed. About 750 residents near Świnoujście, a city that was part of Germany during the 1945 bombing, were evacuated. The bomb had been dropped by the RAF in an attempt to sink the German cruiser Luzo. The explosion, strong enough to be felt across the city, caused a huge column of water. The bomb was 6 meters long, weighed 5.4 tons, and nearly half of its weight was explosives. It was buried 12 meters deep, with only the nose visible above ground. If these astonishing World War II discoveries shocked you, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping revelations. Which discovery left you speechless? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you, and stay tuned, because the secrets of history are just getting started.